Welcome everyone. Everyone who is attending should be on mute, and we'll be getting started in a few minutes. So about 14 there, that's great. So we're expecting 36 this evening, hopefully, which is a good turnout. So for anyone joining the call, just to let you know that we'll be recording this evening's event in case people can't make it, and we'll share that with the SCC group and they can share it on their social media, and we can share it on ours as well if that's useful to people on the 3CEA social media account. Actually, Mary, I should just double check. Would that be okay, the YouTube recording?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Excellent. Right. Okay. So I give 2 more minutes and then we'll get going. Our format this evening is we will have an introduction from the Blessington Sustainable Energy Community themselves and about what they intend to achieve by doing this process and what it's all about. And then myself, Gráinne Kennedy and Fabian Rossell will be speaking to you about the Energy Master Plan and what's involved in that and how you can be involved in basically creating a really comprehensive picture about energy use in your area. So it's all about involvement and information sharing from us to you and you to us. So it's very much a collaborative process, and we're glad to have you join us tonight. And we'll be bang on time. We'll have a question and answer session at the end, but we're conscious that if people, if we have more than more questions that we can answer in the time, what we will do is we will take those questions and we will write our responses and send them to everyone as part of the follow-up of the meeting. So I might get started there if numbers seem to have leveled off. So we'll go ahead anyway, and if anyone misses the start of it, we can send them on the recording. So good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for coming along tonight. We're delighted to be here from 3CEA, and we'd love to hear your questions as the evening goes on around this whole process, and we'll have a little bit of guidance on how to do that. But first of all, I would just like to ask Laura Smith to say a few words, and Laura has a short presentation about Blessington Sustainable Energy Community. Oh, some people some people are having issues this evening, Laura. So yes, we will send the recording.
Okay, I know my Wi-Fi has just gone down here. I'm with Air, and the same thing happened last night. So I'm hotspotting at the moment. So there might be some people in the locality that are having issues tonight. It may not be, maybe everyone's not on air, but there seems to be a difficulty with it. So just to let you know that. I'm sharing a slide deck. Can you see that? Can someone confirm you can see that?
Not yet.
Not yet, Laura. We should be able to because you have panelist permission. Do you want to try? There we go.
Yes, me.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good evening, everyone. So thank you for that introduction, Gráinne. So as Gráinne said, my name is Laura Smith, and I'm a member of the Blessington Sustainable Energy Community. So just a little bit of background on who we are for those who don't know about us. So we were established in September 2018 with the support of Blessington Tidy Towns. The core steering group is made up of the following people, which is Jason Munhall, Michael Sargent, Declan Rowe, Joe Hanley, Cormac Nugent, and myself. But I've put a call to action there to say if anyone else is interested in joining the committee, we'd always welcome new members. And again, we'd reiterate that throughout the presentation. But I suppose for those that mightn't be familiar with an SEC is, so effectively it's a community in which everyone works together to develop a sustainable energy system for the benefit of the community. So looking at using renewable energy where feasible or adopting smart energy solutions to become more energy efficient. And our steering group was established just from people who are interested in this area and have volunteered to help out in their local community. So our vision, and we included this within our community charter, which is part of the preparation work that we had to do in order to apply for some of the grants that are available as a community. So our vision, we've stated within the charter, is to be an empowered community that will develop a sustainable, low carbon, energy efficient community for future generations, which will be achieved through promotion, education, and implementation of low carbon initiatives. So just in terms of what we've done since we were established, so during 2019, the team worked closely with our mentors. So at the time we were using FutureFit, and Gavin Hart from FutureFit helped us with that, along with Raheem O'Neill from Wicklow County Council to help us build up our master plan application, which was submitted to the SEAI, the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland. So that comprised basically of a 20-page application form. As I said, we had to establish our community charter. We had to look at doing an analysis of our estimated energy spend in the local community. So it was just guesstimates, but we did use some CSO data in terms of, you know, looking at the number of residents or properties within the area, people's commuting patterns, the age of some of the housing stock in the area, that sort of thing, to build kind of a high level estimate of what we believe the energy spend might be for the town. And then we also had to include some suggestions and ideas for events that we could hold in the local community as part of that application process. So that was submitted, and this is just a time chart just to give you an idea of some of the work that has been involved. So the committee was established, we developed the master plan, we submitted that over a year ago now. In July of last year, the SEI came back and said that that was accepted. They gave us our offer letter and said that we had €15,000 funding available to us, which is also based on the size of the town or the population of the town as well. Then in October 2020, Wicklow County Council engaged 3CEA to assist us with this process. And the first real, I suppose, action, I suppose it's obvious or apparent to the community is this webinar now tonight. So we're delighted to have everyone with us who's joined us tonight. With a view to maybe conducting some energy audits and doing some work, which I know Gráinne and Fabian can fill you in on, and kind of the next steps of what's involved. So that's where we're at. That's the work that we've done so far. And just before I hand you over to Gráinne and to Fabian to share a bit more information about how we might do that, I suppose my last comment is just to say, you know, this is about achieving energy goals by working together as a community. And we need community support ultimately to help us build that energy master plan. So I guess it is a call to action to say, you know, we'd like for people to come together and help us do that. And again, if anyone's interested in joining the committee, contact details are there on the slide, but also if you want to reach out or message us through the Facebook page as well, that can also be done. So thanks very much. I'll hand back to you now, Gráinne.
Great, thank you, Laura. I think that gives a good view of where the group have been and how now that you're extending out into the wider community, and we want to create this plan for energy use for all of Blessington, which can be used and the projects can be taken out of for years to come. So I'll just go down through our part in this as the consultants. So as Laura said, we're the 3CEA, which stands for the Three Counties Energy Agency. We work in where we started off working in Carlow, Kilkenny and Wexford, but now we work in Wicklow and we also work in Waterford as well. So it's been great for us to be able to develop energy master plans in Wicklow in the last year. So if you have any questions as we're going along, because there might be questions around the audits and how your house gets audited or different, I might just ask, we've had a hand raising there. So Seamus, I think you can unmute yourself if you'd like to raise a point. I can't seem to find you on the attendee list. Oh, there you go. Seamus, you have a point? You should be on, let me see.
No, I don't. I was just playing around with my settings here.
Great. That's an important thing to do. So yes, so the chat function is there. There we go. And what I might do just to save time is I've kind of broken my own rule there by unmuting people as we go along, but we'll go down through the details fairly quickly, and then people can ask questions at the end. So definitely use your chat as you're going along. If something occurs to you, there's no such thing as silly question. We'll, it may be that we'll answer the issue as we go along, but definitely if something occurs to you while we're chatting, please do put it in the chat. So that's Laura did a great introduction there about sustainable energy community and what's involved there, so I won't go into much in there, but the Sustainable Energy Community program is run by the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, and it's a 3-year partnership where through your county mentor Simon Whelan and through SAI, there is support to really examine your community energy use and make those improvements. So as Laura said, SEAI provided the funding, will provide the funding for this bit of work, and there's support there from Wicklow County Council as well. So there's a lot of people coming together to really help Blessington, and not just Blessington, other towns and rural areas in Wicklow to really take control really of their energy future, and to help them invest in sustainable energy going forward. So just to give you a little bit of background about us, we're an energy agency. We're not for profit, and our goal is really around helping the southeast of Ireland and Leinster more widely to work towards a sustainable energy future. So as far as we can, we want to help people improve energy efficiency, and where the opportunities arise, look at renewable energy as well. So we do that by running the SEC programme, the Sustainable Energy Community programme in the southeast, but we also run various funding schemes through SEAI that communities can avail of when they've identified the projects that they would like to gain funding for. So we're here to help really, and as Laura mentioned, through that partnership with Wicklow County Council, we've been brought in to develop energy master plans for SECs in County Wicklow. So this is really the journey of a sustainable energy community. The first stage is really to do those actions there that Laura mentioned. So to learn, to basically set out your goals, to have your charter, to apply for your funding, to, kind of really get your group organized, and then you can go on then to the plan stage, which is where we're at the moment, which is, putting together an energy plan for the community. And I go into in detail what energy master plan is as we go along. And really the big part that we want to get out of that is this register of opportunities. So what is it that Blessington can do as a community to improve its energy efficiency or energy independence, or any of these things, and what are the funding streams that are available, what the energy savings might be. It's really comprehensive, the information is provided, and it's there to really make sure that the community is really well informed when you go to choosing projects that you might go for funding for, as after you've completed your energy master plan. So the final stage then is the do stage, and that's about, you know, picking your projects that you want to go forward, applying for grant funding, maybe even some communities, they might raise funds between them for a renewable energy project or upgrading a building. There's lots of different ways that you can go around it, but there is a good amount of funding there, be it through SEAI. Leader will have funding coming up in the next few years, and different local groups as well. But that's the next stage, and you should have all the information from the Energy Master Plan that can inform that do stage. So how do we create this full picture of energy use in your, and also the opportunities in the future in your area? So first of all, we do a desk study. So that is looking at all of the national, county or county level or local data that we can find. There's a lot around the Central Statistics Office. They have a good bit of information, and we gather that together to basically give an idea of the energy profile of the area. Then we use energy audits, we use BERs, building energy ratings, different surveys. We have a survey that we will be sending, we'll be including in the chat later on tonight. And all of those pieces of information that we collect, they basically give us the local knowledge of the energy consumption, because the desk study and the overall view is good, and it's good to have that overall view, but it's not the same as being able to say, okay, we have 5 houses in this area in Blessington, and they are, you know, these type of walls, this type of roof, these types of lighting. And then, you know, once you have that information, then you can basically tailor whatever interventions or whatever improvements should be made. So from all that information, it's a lot of information, we have an energy baseline, and that's basically the amount of energy that we're using and the types of energy we're using. And we take that information and all the audits, and we put together this register of opportunities, which is you know, every opportunity there is when it comes to households making improvements in energy efficiency, or public buildings or businesses, any of those groups. And then we have an action plan where we basically take those register of opportunities and we put them into a guide that, you know, this might be a good project for year 1, year 2, year 3, generally based on the investment kind of in those projects. And then the thing that holds it all together on the left hand side there is community engagement the whole way through. So from the start, we're working with people to do energy audits on their homes or their businesses. We're asking people to fill out surveys, and then we are looking for input from the SEC on things like the register of opportunities or the action plan, because really it has to be a plan that works for Blessington. There's no point in us putting together what we think might work for your area. So we will have, as I mentioned, we have that survey that we will send out tonight. We have 2. We have one for domestic, and the second one is for non-domestic. So that's all community buildings, public sector. You could have a school that might be audited or might be surveyed in that way. You could have businesses. So we will send out the domestic one tonight because we don't want to overrun people, the household, I should say. And then we can send out the other survey later on. And that will give us really great information about the buildings in your area. And then we will have a good bit of to and fro with the residents, and we analyse the data, the surveys and the audits, and then we present the final results at the end of the project. So at the end of the project, we hope we will in person have a meeting with the entire community, and we will be able to present you know, the energy master plan, and, you know, have maybe images of the different types of buildings and what can be done and what the opportunities are for you, because I think that's what really makes it real for people, when they can kind of see their home or their local business or whatever it is. So sometimes people ask about when I mentioned surveys, the non-domestic surveys, they might mention that if a house is part of the business, then actually, Fabian, I might be jumping ahead. When we have a house and a business joined together, people sometimes say, which audit should I fill out? But it depends on if the business is the bigger part of the building, then maybe do the business, the non-domestic audit, or if it's a house is the bigger part of the building, then we'll do the domestic survey. But anyway, we can talk to people about that afterwards, and you'll have our email addresses. So any queries about that, you can approach us, no bother. So I mentioned that the energy baseline, so the full picture of energy use. And actually, I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit here, but we look at fuel types, we look at the different types of heating systems or electrical systems people might have. We look at energy spend that people might have. We have good knowledge from other areas in Wicklow and also nationally as to what are, kind of efficient energy spends. So we'd be looking at, is the energy consumption in certain houses more than that or less than that? We have the energy audits, as I mentioned, of the local buildings, and then we also have the building energy rating information that we have for your local area. So we'll be looking at, for the site-specific audits, we'll have a certain number of buildings that will be chosen. And when it comes to the household and actually the non-domestic audits, it'll be up to, we've given Blessington SCC a breakdown from the Central Statistics Office of the types of buildings that there are in Blessington. And we want to get an example from each type. So it may be that you might be approached because you have a house that was built in 1980, in the 1980s, which is a certain type of house. So it's up to there will be a certain number of houses that will be audited, a certain number of non-domestic buildings. With the non-domestic buildings, it's less of a case of them being representative of a whole group, because it may be that, a farm will be similar to all other farms, or a church might be similar to all other churches, but it's not. Sorry, I'm rattling on a little bit. Anyway, so it's the buildings are chosen for auditing based on the fact that everyone else can learn from them. That everyone who comes along at the end of the energy master plan, and when we show all of the findings, we would hope that everyone there would be able to say, okay, roughly my house is like that house, and in that house you can do A, B and C, and this is the cost, and this is what it will save us. So I'll be able to maybe bring that knowledge to my house. So the houses, the homes, and the other audits, the other site audits haven't been chosen yet, but they will be over the next few weeks. So it may be that myself or Fabian might be in touch with you, and we'll kind of give our we'll ask if people are willing to be part of the audit, and if they are, then we will hopefully be able to do site audits. If that's not possible, we will have to find other alternatives. But having that on-site building information is really important, because it provides that knowledge that the whole community can use. So I will hand over then to, actually, I know I'll just go through this briefly. Or Fabian, do you want to pop in here?
Maybe I will present in the next slide. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I've gone one ahead. So the register of opportunities then, if you see the list on the left-hand side here of the different things that can be done, from installing timers to looking at tire pressure and different things like that. We would basically have the kilowatts, the savings, the cost of any intervention, and how it might be done, or what information you might have. So it's really a matter then for the community to pick down through what you feel is most useful for you. And all of this is based on the data we're collecting. As much as possible, we are getting information on the ground. So we're not going to be given pie in the sky recommendations. It's everything is based on what we find out from our audits, from the surveys, everything that we collect. And some of our, this is something we will speak about with the SEC committee as we are doing the energy master plan. But when it comes to households, the SEAI, the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, recommends that that our, as a country, we are going to this deep retrofit standard. So we are looking at houses with a BER rating, very energy efficient, of B2 or higher. But we understand that that mightn't be possible for all houses. So there are ways that we'll present the data that you'll be able to look at it, and maybe, well, we'd love if everyone who had an audit or anyone who was involved in this decided that they wanted to upgrade their building to a deep retrofit standard, because it would be a lovely cozy home. I'm sure you all have lovely cozy homes anyway, but there's different ways that we will present the data, but we'll always be conscious that we want you to be able to use it after we hand over the information to you. So that's I suppose that's the next step, that there's an annual action plan that we will put those actions into a plan, and based on year 1, year 2, year 3, what's the most efficient to do. And on that step, we'll have a good bit of engagement with the SEC community. So it'll be about, SEC committee. So it'll be about seeing what's most useful for Blessington. So Fabian, if you wouldn't mind taking over there.
Yeah, could you just scroll on the next?
Oh, next one. Sorry.
Yeah, next one. No, next one again. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Gloria. Hi, everyone. So yes, as presented before, to have a look at the energy consumption baseline across the SEC area, we will use national data on a lot of data available from different sources as SEI website or CSO data. However, the best representation of the consumption in Blessington is a data collection coming from Blessington directly. So,
sorry, Fabian, do you
yeah.
mind speaking up a little bit, because you're good, but just speak up. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So we have two possibilities to obtain this local data. First is to realize specific energy survey of houses and local buildings. And the second is online survey. So we will, as Gona said before, we will send the link tonight on by email after. So first, about the specific domestic energy survey, the SEC committee will select a list of 8 to 10 houses in the area, houses which are representative of the houses in the area. On another one will be selected for people who have completed the draw, who have completed the online survey, so it will be a draw at the end. So the idea of this is to have case studies, example of houses, and energy survey showing a step-by-step example of energy upgrades. So I just would like to specify that these energy surveys are not BER assessment. So people who won't have a BER certificate. Really, the target is to have an energy survey with recommended recommendation on energy efficiency measure. So on this slide, you have the timeline, the requirement for this energy survey. So we will, so the committee will select the list of houses. We will contact you before the site visit. Mostly for an house, the time allocated for a site visit is roughly 1 hour. We'll take some drawing, picture, measurement of the house. We will ask you some questions about building fabric, heating system, lighting. And we will prepare a 2 pages report. So maybe you can go to the next slide, Gonia. A 2 pages report, mostly presented like this. So with a picture of the house, existing building details of the house. So in terms of wall, roof, floor, windows, and so, and existing heating characteristics. So primary heating system, secondary, and so forth. We will simulate a step-by-step guidelines with different energy efficiency measure first with a building fabric approach, and with some improvement in terms of heating system, lighting system, and renewable energy. On the left, this is on the left side. On the right side, you will have an idea of estimated costs about each measure. So it's really an idea of estimated cost, because each house is really specific with some specific building details. So it's only about to give you an idea of the impact in terms of cost. Okay, so next slide, please, Gloria. We will do the same with a non-domestic energy survey. So again, the SEC committee will select a list of non-domestic building representative of the area. So it could be a community center, sports club, retail, per B&B. And the idea is to have, yes, a representation of other buildings. So for example, if in the area you have 10 or 12 B&B, it could be a good idea to have one. If you have 1, 2, or 3 community center, it could be a good idea to have one. The idea again is to have a case studies example for other businesses or other community building, and these people will be able to look at this specific report and say, okay, maybe I can do the same in my building. So for the timeline, it's the same. We will contact you before site visit. We will request energy bills of your building in order to create an energy profile and copies of existing drawing if available, because some buildings are very big. So sometimes existing drawings could be very relevant for us. And same for the domestic, we'll take some drawing pictures on the amount of the building and looking at heating system again. And after the site visit, the idea is to create a full energy audit report, which will be sent to the SEC committee and to the owner, with a level of details enough for better energy community grant application. So it's really a big energy audit report for each non-domestic. The idea, by the way, is to create register of opportunities, which will be inserted in the energy master plan, and to help community with this first type of energy audit in order to be able to start a potential grant project in the coming months or year. Please go on to the next slide. So as presented, it's another example of register of opportunities. So you will have the description of the measure, kilowatt hour savings, euro savings, CO2 emission avoided, and estimated cost for each measure, and payback if needed. And this register of opportunities will help us to create a bigger register of opportunities for the energy master plan. So we will have this for all the non-domestic survey. Yes, good. So finally, the second way to have the baseline of energy consumption in Blessington, as presented by Grona, is how the online energy survey, so the domestic one and the non-domestic one. We will ask you some question about the house, if you have a building energy rating already, the annual energy cost, some information about the building fabric, heating system, and potential travel mode. Roughly, it's between 10 to 15 minutes to fill out the survey, and I've started to look at the question about potentially the complexity of the survey. Don't be afraid about the survey. The idea is to have the most relevant data. If you don't have all the data, if you don't have the data, you don't have the data, just it's nothing. Or and maybe, yes, I've seen question about potential default answers. We can try to look at it, yes, if it's easier. I think that Mary will send directly on the chat the link for the domestic survey for you tonight, but we will send later this week an email to everybody with the two links to fill the survey. So, Brenda.
Yeah, so as Fabian said, filling out the online survey is something everyone can do, and we would it really contributes to the information that we have. So we would ask people, we've put the 2nd of April as a deadline because we want to choose from the people who have submitted from the online survey. We want to choose one person who will win one of the audits. So that's an impetus, or not an impetus, incentive for people to fill out the survey, other than just contributing to the Energy Master Plan. So that should be in the chat there now. We would really appreciate how you can help. It's, you know, we don't want to be back and forth a lot with, we don't want to be wasting people's time. So if we get in touch with you, we'd really appreciate if you can engage with us, or if it's just not your thing at the moment, that's absolutely fine. We can use another building for an audit, but we would really love, particularly with COVID, we've lost a little bit of time in developing this Energy Master Plan. So it'd be great if, when we start getting in touch with householders and businesses about doing energy audits, if people could engage with us when we get in touch. We'd appreciate if, it's great to have so many people on this call tonight, but the more people we can have contributing data to the project, the better. So absolutely feel free to share the survey among your friends, your neighbours, relatives, anyone who is in the area. It would be great if you could spread the word, and also just even to let people know that this is an undertaking, a pretty sizable undertaking that the Blessington Sustainable Energy Community is undertaking, and it's something that will be of benefit to the entire town. So we would appreciate if you could spread the word. And then, as Laura said, the SEC committee is open to having wonderful volunteers join them on their efforts. So that's their email there. And we can include that in the email we will send to everyone afterwards with the recording of the meeting and the surveys, and we'll include that email. So let's just see there now. So I'll just have a look. Mary, have you had a chance to share the survey?
Indeed. It's actually, I shared the short version. I'm going to send another link with the longer version there now.
Yes. Okay. So we've had a few questions here about the difference between deep retrofit and shallow retrofit and the piecemeal approach. So the deep retrofit is up to a standard of, as I mentioned, the B2, and that has a specific fund in SEI that people can avail of to do that work. And it's a good amount of work, and it can sometimes mean that people might have to, you know, that it's a bit of disruption, but it is a really good grant, and that's why it may be more useful for people to do the deep retrofit, the entire list of actions that we would recommend, rather than doing it piecemeal. But it's up to you. We will provide you with that information that you will be able to. Sorry, actually, I don't know if I've described this well enough. So we have a question here. What is the difference? Have I read that out? This is Tuesday evening. Deep retrofit, between deep retrofit, shallow retrofit, and a piecemeal approach. So yes, so deep retrofit, we will always have the information about that, because that is a government goal, and the government want to have 50,000 houses up to that standard, or is it 500,000 standard? 500,000, I think, by 2030. So that's the deep retrofit, is all of the actions together. Shallow might be that you upgrade your heating system. It could be that you improve some aspects of your building fabric. So you might look at roof insulation, but you mightn't look at floor or wall insulation. But there is, for those improvements, there is individual funds available through when I say individual, I mean there's funds available for each type of improvement there. So there's funds available with SEI and grants for insulation. There's for boiler controls, and there mightn't be grants for all of the improvements, but there will be for a good number, and there is really good. And then piecemeal, then I suppose, is that maybe people might only do a few of the more low cost actions. But again, there are grants available for some of those. So we will absolutely include all of that information in the Energy Master Plan, so that you can know whichever option you take, you have access to funds, and you have information through the Energy Master Plan on the audits for each of those things. Fabian, do you want to add anything there about that question?
Yes, you have different level of grant from the SEI. So if you want for what we say a deep retrofit, it's a bigger one. The idea is to reach a B2 or S3 level of BER. So by this way, the grants are really bigger because they are linked to the house, really linked to the overall cost of upgrade. If you are only looking at some piece of measure, maybe if you are looking only at the roof insulation, you will have some grants available from SEI, but so it's good. It's a good first step, but the grants are not linked to your house. It's an amount of money, so it will be the same for a small house or a big house. So if you have a separate measure like this, you will have some grants, but only with a small amount of money. But it's already a good step.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we'll provide. It might be useful for me to put in an example. Well, actually, we'll be covering that anyway in the Energy Master Plan, but we could possibly send out an example, Fabian, in the questions and answers in the email if people want to check. So with the COVID restrictions, can domestic surveys be carried out, or will it be only possible when the builder's restrictions are lifted? So Fabian, last time around when it was level 3, it was possible, wasn't that right?
Yeah, between level 2 and level 3, it's really depending the guidance was governmental. Right now, it's really difficult, as you know, to have an idea. We have in mind maybe to be able to come back on site, maybe early in May now, because really before we will have this breakdown maybe beginning of April now, but for beginning of April, the government is just saying that they will maybe ease some first restriction, but not all. The other possibility to start remote audits, but it's different. It's another implication from the homeowners on the businesses. So it's a possibility we can discuss with the SEC committee, but I think that we are all hoping that the restriction will be eased in April, May. So yes, it's very.
I think in the meantime, like for Blessington SEC, whatever happens, we want to be ready once restrictions are lifted to do the surveys, and it would be great if we can collect that data from the survey beforehand and have that all analysed. And we are already working on the report when it comes to the desk study and the national data and breaking that down for Blessington. So we're started on those steps, and they're ongoing. And we would hope that we'd have a good response to the survey this evening and through for the next few weeks. And then, in a few weeks, we'll know, regarding the restrictions. But for us, we would to be on site and to get to know your community is very important, but we can't, unfortunately, jump ahead of what the government guidelines are. And we'd be very we'd completely be conscious of those. And then I think Fabian might have answered the last question, which is about the surveys requiring a lot of detail. So we can add some default values, although we think we already have actually on that, but we'll go through it again, and we'll see if there can be any changes made before we send out the link again. So if there's any other questions.
We have received another question at the
Okay.
in the question answer. We have also a question in the chat.
Yes.
So will you or the SEC group be able to provide information on any return on investments, such as simply moving to LED bulbs, or if you added attic installation, at what point you be thinking you get a return? Yes, in the energy audit report in the 2 pages.
I might read that out again, because has everyone received that, Fabian, about the so everyone can see that will you or the SEC group be able to provide information on any return on investments such as LED bulbs, or if attic insulation, at what point you'd be thinking you get a return? Okay, sorry, Fabian, I just in case people didn't see it.
Yeah, so no, in each energy audit report for domestic and non-domestic, we're looking at the payback for each recommendation. But on an energy point of view, of course, we can't on SEI point of view, on current point of view, yes, the payback is relevant on important, but don't forget that we are looking at an energy point of view on the comfort of the occupant and patrimonial aspect of your house. So we will have all these details in the energy master plan, but we just need to be careful to not focus only on return on investments.
Yeah, but sorry, Fabian, there's specifically for LED bulbs, there are other financial benefits that possibly we don't get a chance to go into, because it's very it's about making the recommendations and providing that information. But LED bulbs, you probably won't need to you won't need to replace them as often, so it's complicated, a wee bit more complicated than just a return on investment, because there's also the saving you might make from a reduced maintenance or those kind of things. So there's extra benefits maybe that we should be alluding to in the report, Fabian, about different technologies, that is not just about the simple paybacks, let's say. But yes, we will include all that information. Sorry, Fabian, I cut across you. Did you have anything else you'd like to add?
It's good. I think we have received a question in
we have, but I think Laura, you might have answered that, have you? About where can we find more about Blessington?
Mary answered it there.
Oh, Mary did. Super efficient. Great.
There is one question I see at the top of the Q&A there that you haven't answered.
Okay.
I don't think surveys require a lot of people.
Sorry. Yes.
It's hard to come by. This can result in people starting the survey but not completing. Yeah. Is there a way to minimize this by offering some default values?
Yes, we can have a look at that, but we would prefer if people just didn't. We don't want it to be like, how do I say this? You can give a general electricity value for a bill that might be an average nationally, but if we can, and that's fine, but that the amount of value that has for Blessington itself or for your building, it's not really what we're looking for. So as much as people can, as Fabian mentioned before, if we could have, if people have the information, yes, fill it in. And if you don't have the information, you can either leave the question blank, or we can have a look at if it might be worthwhile to include some default values. But we don't want to rely too much on default values, Laura, because that is essentially the national picture, really, when it comes to energy, and we want to be drilling down into the local information. And if people just don't have the information, that's absolutely fine. You know, but it would be a great exercise if people wanted to take a bit of time to look into it. We would really appreciate it. And you never know, you might find yourself quizzing your electricity bills, or, you know, looking into this in detail going forward, just because you might have develop an interest. So, but we will have a look because at the survey before we sent it out, and we'll see if that's possible. Okay, so I think that's the.
I think. Sorry.
Oh, we have last one. Yes. Yes.
Also questions in the chat as well.
Oh, whoops, Daisy. Sorry, I've been looking.
Okay, finished. There's a couple that have moved into the Q&A that are also repeating the chat.
Okay. Sorry.
Q&A one
so,
first.
yes. So, Emer, you mentioned about the air code. Fabian, yes, that is needed for the. You need to include it. Like,
yeah, I think the question is more to confirm that if the house is included in the Blessington SEC area.
Yes.
Because Emer asked about his house just over the border in Kildare. So
okay.
Maybe Laura, you can answer
sharing.
this to. Maybe yes, we can. Maybe if
we'll have a look at the air code, Emer, and will the SEC committee have already. Sorry, Laura, do you want to answer that? Because of course.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, the Blessington SEC doesn't have an absolute defined boundary. Okay. We've called it kind of the town and the environs of the town. And we're very mindful that it's on the border, and there's a number of estates in the town that would have a Kildare address, and we wouldn't look to exclude them from this process. They're very much residents of the town. So I would say, and if anyone wants to correct me from the committee, on behalf of the committee, I would say that that's fine. That the likes of Emer or anyone with a Kildare address that's living in the town or on the edge of the town would very much be included as part of this process. Okay.
So we have a question here about local industry. So we have separate, yes, our survey, our non-domestic audit, we would like that to be filled in by local industry. And the public buildings, and as many different groups as we can. But yeah, we want that local industry if we can, and we'll share that survey in an email afterwards. So we would be really grateful if people could share it among their contacts. So we have a question here about planning approvals resulting in housing units in 1 to 2 years. I'm afraid we won't be including those because the Energy Master Plan is a snapshot of right now. And also with planning approvals, it should be with the new planning requirements, it should be that those houses would already meet a very, very high standard when it comes to energy efficiency anyway, and they will all have to incorporate renewable energy. So we're not including planning approvals for the buildings in the Energy Master Plan for what's going to be built for the next 1 or 2 years, but it's completely open to the Sustainable Energy Community Committee that if they want to bring those houses into the effort that you guys are going to do in your projects and different things over the next few years, that's absolutely fine. But it is this snapshot at this point in time, so it's not possible for us to add in that data as well. So we will send on the presentation by email. Mary has shared the survey, and we have Emer's questionnaire. Apologies, I was so busy looking at the Q&A thing coming up and down. We will send on the survey link by email as well. Everything will be sent on, as Mary said, via email. And we've answered the question there about Blessington and what areas will that the committee is willing to look at. So we have a question here. What is the SEI Deep Retrofit Programme in 2021? The SEI website just lists the pilot program that launched in 2017 and is now closed. Yeah, so Fabian, do you want to answer that?
Yes. Sorry. So what we call the deep retrofit is to explain that we we will look at all the feasible measures to reach a B2 or S3 level. The program, the deep retrofit program from SEI is closed, so it's not more a program, but you have two other big program to do this deep retrofit if you want. It's a BEC application, Better Energy Community application, which is a mix of non-domestic and domestic building. And you have a new national program which replaces really the deep retrofit program, is the National Home Retrofit Scheme. And both programs could give you some different level of grants for to B2 or S3 level, and starting, so I have not all the details in mind now, but it's starting from 35% to a better percentage depending really the house and the owners and the revenue. So a lot of things there.
Because seeing as this person has already looked in, but of course it's under a different name now.
We can give we can
include
links.
that. Yeah, we can include that information as well on our email. So yeah, but a good question, because of course it was quite controversial when it came to an end last year, and there is a new program. Okay, so that is, I think, pretty much all of our questions. If anyone has anything else they'd like to add, you will have my, well, actually, Mary, you'll have my email. I can add it to the email that Mary will send out from our events email address. And if there's anything occurs to you in the meantime, or anything that doesn't make sense from what we spoke about tonight, I'm happy to speak with people. And then I think for us, it would be great to have a good participation in the surveys over the next few weeks, and that would be a great start from the point of view of collecting data. So Laura, I wonder if you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, just to say thank you to both yourself and Fabian for joining us tonight and for explaining all about the process involved. Hopefully we'll get some people, both businesses and local residents, filling in the survey. I did notice that, I have filled in the survey myself, and it probably does take a bit longer than 15 minutes, to be fair.
Okay.
It is quite detailed. Now I stuck with it and went looking for the data because I just thought it'd be useful myself to understand more about it. So hopefully, if people kind of take the time and stick with it and answer all the questions as best they can, that it would be greatly appreciated. And I suppose the last thing just to say is the Facebook page, Blessington SEC, is there. If anyone has any questions. And then the email is there as well, blessingtonsec@gmail.com. If anyone has any questions after today, they can contact the committee that way, or if they want to join the committee either. Happy to have some new volunteers, but yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Great. And one thing I forgot to mention, actually, although Laura, you might have already said this, but this is, there are dozens of communities across the country doing the same work and really trying to prepare themselves, hopefully, for a future where they will have more control over the energy they produce, and also, they want to make their communities as comfortable for people as they can. So it's great that you guys are taking this on, and I suppose it's nice maybe for you all to know that it's part of a wider national effort, and we'd be really excited to speak to you all and to learn about your buildings and to see what is possible, and provide you with a really good plan for the next few years. So, yes, and of course, we would like to thank the committee and everyone for the effort that has gone in this work so far. So on that, I'm just on the button at past. Thank you very much, and we'll be in touch, and we look forward to working with you all.